to Arts and Crafts with CPO. Today we're going to take a speaker pod from the TJ. This is a 2004 TJ with the speaker pods instead of the full speaker bar. I'm going to replace the 5 1/4 inch speakers with these 6 1/2 inch speakers. And I'll show you how I do it. Granted, they do stick out a little bit more. These are almost flush, not quite flush, and these clearly stick out more. But I did get them mounted, and by the way, let me show you what I'm putting in. So I'm going with these guys. These are the JBL GTO 629 Grand Touring Series. And yeah, I saw somewhere online that people were able to successfully fit the larger speakers, the 6 1/2 speakers, inside the factory hole for the 5 1/4. So I thought, hey, more inches is better when it comes to speakers, so why not? So I'm upgrading these because my son had sort of a blowout on one of his, matter of fact, it was this one that I've already replaced. So I've replaced this, and then now this video is going to show you like what I figured out to do that. But he had a blowout, like the speaker fell out, and that's because whoever installed the previous speakers, they were upgrades, hold on, they put in these little Alpine 5 1/4 inch, these are SPS 13C2s. And it looks like, based on the bent mounting tabs, that they either only installed it using 2 screws and eventually sort of bent its way down and then fell out, or the other 2 screws rattled out first and then it was hanging on 2 screws and eventually rattled out. So yeah, the size of these versus, well, what we're putting in are pretty impressive difference here. So, original, new. So he should get some pretty good sound quality out of these. The other thing that's cool about these is they have a rotating tweeter. So you can sort of, because they're set behind you, you can then rotate the tweeter to a position that makes sense. And you can also have a little dB control. I think it's -3 dB or 0 dB. I'll confirm that here in a bit. But you do have a little button here. You can control the tweeter dB in its built-in crossover. So yeah, I'm gonna install it. All right, so one thing I did have to do is go find some replacement screw hardware. This is the screws that come with the JBL speakers. So they're little cap head screws, and they're 1.5 inches long, which is fine if a normal install is being done, but because we're cheating and installing in an existing configuration, I'm using these number 8 2-inch screws, and they're just basically sheet metal screws, pan head Phillips. So yeah, and I got stainless steel because I don't want them to rust and become a weak part of the system. You can see here how they're mounted. They don't look bad, even though they're not the cap head, but the pan Phillips head works pretty well in that configuration. So yeah, I kind of like them. All right, so first I'm gonna remove these other screws, which I don't know what you'll be dealing with. If you're stock or not, your mileage may vary here. I don't even know. These look like they're probably stock screws. For all I know, this is the stock speaker. Yeah, so that's funny. The one that fell out that I replaced was this Alpine speaker, but what's in this one, which is the passenger side, is a factory like Jeep speaker. Look at this, man. This is hideous stuff here. So yeah, we should see a major improvement going from that to this. Like, it should be significant. So once you pull this out, there is a little plug here, and we're going to have to do something there. We're going to have to rewire this a little bit. And it does have a rubber gasket. One other thing I bought for this project is the foam window seal. This is extra large, and it's 1.5 by 3/4, and it comes in a 10-foot roll of this stuff. And I'm using this to seal around the edge. That'll make more sense here soon. But yeah, so This was cheap, I forget, a few bucks. Now you've got these 4 clips here, these little metal clips. We're gonna move them out of the way. I may reuse them, I may not sure. But you can pry them off without breaking them fairly easily. So the problem with the clips that come with the JBL speakers is they are very fragile. They don't bend well without breaking. So actually these factory clips work a little better in that regard. And you could use a flathead screwdriver for this. I'm just using this needle nose because I have them right here next to me. There we go. So all 4 of those are off. So this is going to sit in here, and the holes don't line up, so we're going to have to make some modifications. But I do know people that will just stab in like 4 new holes around the perimeter here and call it good. But I'm going to go a little bit further and use metal clips. But yeah, so the hole is big enough for the speaker, and then we've got this gap here, right around here, and I'm going to use that weatherproofing foam to seal and bridge that gap, mostly to seal. It's not really weight bearing, because these tabs here on the speaker are resting against this outer lip. So it's pressed in nicely. And the thing is, the screw holes actually need to be up in here, almost at the very edge of this depression here. So in order to make that work, I'm going to widen this here and then add clips and then just basically push them inward a little bit. So yeah, that's how that's going to work. This is just the way I'm doing it. All right, so I'm going to be drilling new holes. So what I'll do first of all is line this up. It's kind of interesting. I hope this makes sense. The holes line up on the, let me get a screw here. And again, these are my new screws. There's enough room for the screw to go in on the inside of this slot. However, that is it's going to end up landing deeper inside that well. So what I'm going to do is just line up everything as best I can and get it centered. And I'll just start and drill a brand new hole. Try not to damage your speaker. And then same thing, oops. And same thing, I'll just set it in here. Okay. There we go. And you can see just on the very inside of that is where that hole ended up. So now what I want to do is widen. This is one of those side cutting bits. I'm just going to widen this a little bit. And And that's to fit a clip in there. I'll show you how here in a second. All right. Let me shake this out. So hopefully that makes sense. I have those slotted. See the slot? And then the new hole is going to be right there. So now I can take these existing clips, and the key here is I have to bend them a little bit, which is why the other ones didn't work so well, because they kept breaking. So I just bent it. I just bent it to widen it out a little bit, to open it. And that allows me to fit it up inside here. Oops. There we go. And again, I like using the factory ones better because they're not quite so fragile. You can collapse them back once you get it in place. A little bit snugger. There we go. So basically I moved these clips further outboard by slotting the existing hole and then adding the clip into there. We need to rewire this and add in the connectors for an audio speaker, which are these guys here. We've got one wide one for the positive and a skinny one for the negative. And we also need to seal it, and I'll go ahead and do that first because that's pretty easy. And I'm just going to pull off a section here, maybe a little bit bigger than I need, and then I'm just going to push this all the way around the perimeter here. Should give a nice seal, and then also give a little bit more of a shelf for that speaker to rest on. Just like that. And you can see it presses in there pretty tight. You can see the indents I just made. Anyway, that's that. Now we need to rewire this. All right, so I'm just going to cut this factory connector off since I'll never need that again. Strip the ends off of these. And then the brown and blue is negative, and the brown and yellow is positive. The negative is the skinnier post. So I have some 764 female disconnects, which is what would be required here. And that would be the blue, because that's negative. So I'm going to put that on there. And crimp that down. There we go. And then my regular female for positive side. All right. Okay. Set this back into place. Let's get that plugged in. Like that. And then set that in place. There we go. Okay, now on this, the cover goes on when you bolt it down. So get that in place, pointed towards the front. And I'm just going to do this gently at first to find all 4 of those screw holes. Should go in fairly easy if you found your existing hole. There we go. That is now in there. The tweeter can turn, and then again you've got your decibel, your tweeter gain. So that's it. Now we can go put it in the Jeep, and hopefully it will sound much more awesome. Factory connection is still there, and then of course, look, we're missing this guy, but CJ's on his own for that. I don't have one of those.